almost there. Lisa, are you good to go? Okay. Okay, and we're at 7 o'clock, so we will call this meeting of the Kalamazoo Township Board of Trustees to order at 7 p.m. Trustee Glass, care to lead us in the pledge? Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Really? Well, congratulations. We'll proceed to a roll call of board members. Trustee Sherwood. Here. I'm Supervisor Combs. Trustee Glass. Here. Clerk Mackey.
Here.
Trustee Leonard.
Here.
And I will move to excuse Trustee Robinson this evening.
Support.
There's a motion and support. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. And the motion carries. Thank you very much. For item 4, additions and deletions to the agenda. I will open this item per our discussion at the work session this evening. I will move to add the treasurer vacancy and next steps to the new business section of our agenda this evening.
Support.
There's a motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Are there any additional additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? Hearing none. We will proceed to the first of 2 public comment periods this evening. If you'd like to make a public comment, please feel free to step to the podium, let us know your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes to use as you choose. As a reminder, please direct your public comments to the board this evening.
Shireen Miller, 609 Stassen Avenue. This is for the board as well as my constituents. First thing I want to address is the failure to appoint a deputy treasurer. The day before the superintendent was going to fire my exemplary deputy treasurer, I didn't know I had to fill a spot. But in the light of things, it became apparent that I did, and I tried several times. I wanted to appoint a temporary employee. On October 2nd, I wanted to appoint a full-time employee who was a deputy clerk for Comstock Township on November 3rd. I wanted to appoint a full-time employee who started in cash receipting on December 29th. And I wanted to appoint a prior board member who was told by a trustee that she would receive no keys, no laptop, and no access to the hall. That's the first one. I also wanted to be clear that I had 3 deputy treasurers. The first one was removed from office because she was not trusted by me. The second one resigned because he was not able to access records. And the third one retired because she knew she was going to be fired. Transfer of $4 million happened on February 3rd of 2026. I did something that I never did before. I emailed the superintendent and the deputy clerk to say, hey, transferring dollars to money market, FYI. Never had I done that before. I opened that money market in March of 2024, moved money back and forth between those 2 accounts to make interest on our taxpayer, on our municipal resources. Funny thing is, superintendent and I had email conversations that afternoon, and nothing was ever mentioned about putting the township in financial crisis. Mismanagement of 2025 tax bills. I sent the superintendent a 2025 balanced matching to assessors for real value, real taxable value, not to include personal. It wasn't complete. An email did go to the superintendent on November 21st saying, I feel very confident about this. And the full-time employee and I were working together on a winter checklist. If there was an issue, it was not brought to me. Failure to adhere to recommended financial control, bank deposits, implemented remote bank deposits.
Thank you very much. Your 3 minutes has expired.
Excuse me.
Additional public comment this evening. Please step forward.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lance Brandt. I live at 3134 North Pitcher, and I'd like to yield my time to Shreen if I could.
We do not have a bylaw that allows you to yield your time, and Ms. Miller, you must step down from the podium. Your public comment has expired. Sir, you may continue with your 3 minutes if you'd like.
Well, I was trying to...
Would you read my resignation letter? Can you do that?
Maybe if I hurry up before the 3 minutes runs out.
Because this is for.
Again, Ms. Miller, your time has expired.
Thank you.
Sir, if you would like to make a public comment, your time is still remaining at 2
Okay.
minutes and 35 seconds.
I stand for what is right and just. I have resigned due to unlawful governmental overreach by Kalamazoo Township's Board of Trustees and/or someone's agenda. After months of public humiliation, I think you read this.
I did, but I wanted.
Ma'am,
After months
your
of public
comment has
humiliation
concluded.
and false allegations, I have lost all faith and trust in the current board, this administration, and the legal guidance provided to them. Recent actions directly undermine the legal framework that governs the role of the elected treasurer and the proper safeguarding of public funds. Statutory duties were stripped from the elected treasurer, the designated custodian of municipal funds, and occurred without a duly appointed deputy treasurer in place for added protection. The financial authority, management, and signing power were transferred to a non-elected superintendent. This created an urgent and serious breakdown in governance and accountability. These actions endangered municipal finances and eroded public trust. The handling of public funds must remain transparent, lawful, and accountable due to residents we serve. I could no longer support actions that disregard these fundamental principles. My decision to resign reflects my unwavering commitment to integrity, the rule of law, and the responsible stewardship of taxpayers' resources. I am proud of the work accomplished during my tenure and grateful for the opportunity to serve the community. I urge residents to stay engaged and to hold their local government accountable to the laws and standards that protect the public interest. Most sincerely, Shreen Miller. I think that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Additional public comment this evening? Seeing no movement in the room, is there any public comment on Zoom? Thank you very much. That concludes our first public comment period this evening. We will proceed to the consent agenda. Clerk Mackey.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I will move to approve the consent agenda as recommended by the superintendent and the supervisor. Support.
There's a motion and support. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. With that, we will proceed to our public hearing and presentation portion. We do have a presentation this evening. Superintendent, would you care to introduce our guests?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
As we are moving forward in our groundbreaking that's coming up this summer, we thought it would be a great time as we just have finalized some of our boardroom specifics. We wanted the board to see that and obviously our residents here. We have with us Andrew Skipper from ABB, our construction manager. Mark and Monica are here with Williams Architects. So they are going to go through a presentation. We can have some question time afterwards. Also to just let you know, as far as budget, we are still working through the budget. As you know, we're $45.5 million that we need to remain in. And as we finalize the plans, we're getting closer to that. So I'm very comfortable with the numbers right now. So, Mark, if you want to start that off.
All right, well, thanks for having us. It's been a while, so it's changed a little bit since the last time we presented, but for the better, so I think that's great news. So tonight, we want to kind of give you a quick walkthrough of the project process and then what we're at, and then I'm going to let Andrew touch base just briefly, maybe on timeline, schedule. Let's keep it real informal. If we're talking something you want to ask, just ask me. We have a Q&A, I think, slide at the end, right? But for now, so basically, introductions again, Monica, Mark, Andrew, so we are the team. There's a team of consultants, there's other folks at Williams Architects, so we've got a pretty good team going on. We've been meeting off and on pretty much every 2 weeks for quite a while now, so we pretty much every Friday, so we're never more than a couple weeks till we're touching base, and we have set agendas most of the time, so I think things are going good. I guess, Monica, if you want, oh, nice. So this, we are titling it the new community campus. You may call it whatever you like, but that's the official title for now. So we want to show you what it looks like. So these first couple images are elevations. So elevations, a flat head-on view. So you know, floor plans looking down, ceiling plans looking up, elevations are flat. Not the easiest things to read, so we do have some 3D, but just bear with us here. What we want to show you here is the building, as it did last time we presented, we basically have it appears as a one-story along the road. So you've got on the left side, this is the front view, the top, the west elevation. So this is coming from the road, going north, you turn your head to the right there. The upper left corner, that's raised up 4 feet, so that kind of signifies that is the police admin area. And then beyond, because it's the opposite corner, is the same thing for the township. So the building sort of, it's got flat roofs, and we say flat, we don't mean flat, but flat appearing. They are pitched to drain. But I think, remember one time we tried to make this kind of more like a fire station, and it was just much too massive. So we've gone to something like this. So we're calling the style a rustic contemporary. So we have wood, you're going to see it in the boardroom, we have stone, we have siding. It's all like low maintenance or zero maintenance. So it's not real cedar, but it's going to look like it. 30-year paint warranty, so it's not like you have to maintain it. So again, you've got a combination of a stone base that runs around, siding in between, and then above the windows we have some type of siding, but it's going to be a little smoother panel. So there's like 3 materials. And then the boardroom is the middle portion that's coming out of the sheet at you. And again, when we get to the 3Ds, it'll be much easier. The south elevation, you can see the long at the top, that's the boardroom filled with windows. And then you can see the road comes from here and it drops down 14 feet. So again, it's a 2-story building in the back. And in the back, we will have secure staff parking, if you like, vehicle parking for the police. There's still access to the rest of the acres. We get 17, isn't it? Yeah. So you've still got a fair amount of land left over. So access going down the hill to these. You can circulate around the entire site so the police officers can drive around, as can, importantly, the fire department. On all that. So if you want to go to the next one, Monica? Oh, I guess. Oh, yeah. And then, so then the garage, in that bottom version, we've kind of faded out the building, so the garage gets a little simpler. So we've got the raised roofs with the overhangs, so it's a 4-foot overhang everywhere. But when we get to the garage, we simplified that a little further. We didn't want the parking garage to, it's going to look nice, but you don't want it to align with the building, if you will. And then this is the east elevation, so since that's the rear elevation on the top, and then if you came out farther, you'd see the garage in the front. So you can see the boardroom, tallest thing, very good for identification. I think, Monica, if you want to go to the next one. Yeah, keep going. There we go. So now this makes it a little easier to understand. So this would be from the northwest corner looking back southeast. So the road would be kind of here. So you can see that raised area, that's the police administration area. You can see the roof overhangs there. I think, I can't remember how we did it, but we had up to, I think, 10 different color palettes, if I recall.
We did.
I think this is number 10, so we hit it after 9 tries. So
That's the one we brought to the board. So
yeah,
the
it's
10th
very.
time is the charm.
Yeah, you're 10 time. So we did it in 10. It's very, what's the word? Neutral. Nothing that's going to be dated. It's a nice cream-colored stone. Again, nothing has to be picked. If you guys change your mind, until you start ordering material, we have some time. But again, we came with a more neutral scheme. So we're going to, stain the wood beams and the columns and things like that. But most of it's kind of a neutral palette. So again, nice parking in and out. Visitors right out front, handicapped accessible spots closest to the door. If you want to go to the next one. So this is sort of the money shot, as they say. This would be from the southeast entry. So I don't know if you recall the site plan, but there's kind of a boulevard and a circle. And then there's someday, probably, 5, 10, 20 years, maybe a fire station there. And there's room set aside for that. But you kind of go through traffic circle. You can keep going back into the site, or you can turn in and get to this parking lot. So the thing that's nice about this driveway area here is there is a drop-off. So if you're coming to a board meeting tonight, you want to drop somebody off and go park, we're right up front there. Right within the doors, we have a package delivery area, so that's UPS, Amazon, whoever, secure, of course. So somebody in the township or police goes and picks it up. But I think the thing to see here is fairly clearly identifiable where the front door is. And I always come here and I never know which of these 2 doors is locked or unlocked. I don't think anybody's going to have a problem understanding. So what we've done is we've raised the building up to a comfortable height. It's tall, but it's not overly tall. How 24? Yeah, 24. What do we decide this was? 16? 16, 18, you know, it's maybe 6 feet taller than this. So what it is you're going to see real wood beams. Everywhere else in the building is conventional steel frame construction, bar joist, beams, metal deck, flooring, concrete, normal. But for the boardroom, we are using, I mean, they're not old growth timber, they are blue laminated beams, they're manufactured. But you can see we've got some stone piers that come up to a certain level, those are the columns, and then we have double wood columns, and then we have beams that support the roof. We've chamfered them a little bit there so they're not so bulky at the ends of each square. We kind of cut them at, I think it's a 30-degree angle. And then as you can see, and we'll get inside in a moment, on the long side of the boardroom, windows the whole way. So I know that this has always been kind of a closed-off boardroom. I hope you're going to be open for some natural light and things like that. So it's going to be a hopefully pretty inspirational when you get there. Next one. This, I think, kind of really shows you the building. This, again, same area, southwest corner looking northeast, but it's the bird's eye view. So you can see the boardroom in the center. The building organization is very simple. The right side is Township, the left side is police. So you're going to walk in the door, you're going to be centered on the boardroom, and it's pretty much you're going to go to the right. There's going to be an opening, and we're going to either say Township or whatever the word you want, and same thing. So anybody that comes to visit is going to clearly know where they are. And at the end of each hall will be a nice window like you have now, a little more modern looking like that, safe and secure. I believe your office is right when you get down there off front there, so that's kind of a nice way to, you know, visit with your officials and things like that. And yeah, in the back right corner, that high part, again, that's the part of the admin for the township. And then in the way back there, you can sort of see poking up is the garage. So again, and then the lower level is more on the police training side. There's some maintenance area on the right side for the township, vehicle lift, things like that. The left side is all the different training components for the police, and then the parking garage at that level. So the patrol would come in, you know, from either side, but probably the southeast corner, drive around, pull in, and then the officers can come in and bring their gear bags right into the building, and running along the back is what we're calling a concourse. It's a nice lower level and an upper level with glass and things like that, so then they enter the building. So keep going and tell you what else do we have. Now, here is the boardroom. So this would be in the right side of the front doors were here, and you were coming in and you turned your head right. So again, we're showing the word Kalamazoo Township. Everything is being developed now. What we're showing is wood and stone. So when you walk in, that column that's up, help me out, Monica? 16? Okay, those columns are 16, same as the front. So those front columns kind of come in a couple of spots, and then it sort of makes an appearance at the back. And then also a few of them every, I think, 11 feet, marching down symmetrically in the boardroom. And then the rest of the area is wood. We're showing it light color. It could be light, medium, dark. We haven't really picked up the stain yet. We're sort of working on it. But basically, you're going to have the same windows when you look in, and then there's an entry here. So you've got the pair of doors in the middle, the left side of the screen. And what we're showing in this version is we're showing window frames, but we're showing the glass frosted. So if there's any concern about people outside, you know, you wouldn't be distracted. We can make it whatever you want, but for now, that's been the direction the team has set. So that we want to have everybody be able to see the light come through, but it's frosted. If somebody wants to change their mind and say we want it solid, there's different ways to do it. But this is kind of where we're going there. So that's the right side. Monica, if you want to click to the left, same thing. So that's the front doors there, just the left side. So you can see there's the symmetry. As you can kind of look down the police, when you're looking down the hall there, you're going to see the front entry to the area through that desk or the reception counter. Same thing on the right side. I think the next one is in the boardroom, if I'm correct. Okay, so this kind of gives you a visual of where we stand today. So we are going to have wood beams, about 2 foot 2 inches deep. I think it's now 11 feet. We're working on a regular pattern, and they are held up on steel columns. So you don't see the columns. They will be in the wall between the two ends. We have a regular pattern of nice wood beams, and then we have a wood roof deck. It's actually an engineered product. I mean, you could do wood deck, which is typically 6 by 2, but this is a manufactured product. You can span greater distances, but it will look like it. So when you're inside, you're going to see the lines, and it's going to look like a traditional wood deck. On the right and the left side, you see those vertical lines. We have wood up to that line of stone there, and that is a wood panel, but it's also got acoustical properties. So this, I believe, is an attempt at some sort of acoustic block from 1978. We're doing a 2027 version of it. But, so it's kind of like a slat wall. You could run it vertical, you can run it horizontal, and then behind it are little perforations to absorb the sound. Because we do not have an acoustical tile ceiling in this building like you have here. But again, we have carpet, and you can see there's a runner going down the middle, and then we have some patterns and a couple different cross patterns to sort of help you set up the chairs and give, an obvious flow, if you will. We're showing very nice simple chairs there. You can see on the left or the right side, those stone columns continue. Those big dark rectangles, those are TVs. We're probably going to actually have them on brackets facing the audience. So in the rendering, they're kind of up on the wall, but we're going to somehow get them tilted out. And then there will be a drop-down screen. Way in the distance there, you can see your dais raised at the exact same height. We measured as 21 inches. You're going up 21 inches there, so you get that same feel to it. And then behind it, we're showing that map, but we may do something a little different. So we kicked around that map coming with us, or we're probably going to make it out of like a newer version with some what are we going to do, backlighting? Yeah, something. Metal, something like that. So we can still use that, or we can put that somewhere else if we'd like. But we thought maybe like a newer version of that would be nice. And then the same window pattern that's at the outside at the front, then into the lobby, comes out to the back there. So again, there was talk early on or during design with these folks that you guys aren't going to want people on the rooftop deck eating dinner, so we're going to screen it. So the upper part you'll be able to see. So when you're sitting in the room, you're going to see the daylight. But the lower area, I think from about 10 foot down, is going to be obscured because the police department's working, 2-3 shifts. They could be there at 8 o'clock at night having lunch or whatever they want. So we're going to make sure that you guys don't feel that somebody's behind you. So I think that's nice. And then there will be a drop-down screen, but we don't want to have something permanent on the wall and try to get TV monitors at that side would be exorbitant. So it's going to, electronically roll up and then drop down. So if you have a presentation, turn your head, or we're going to have a couple of those monitors facing this way as well, and then the other group facing forward. There's a nicer close-up version. Thank you. And then same kind of wood treatment on the dais. So it looks like, now that I have really great, at least like 3 pieces of furniture. This will be a built-in. And then there is a handicapped accessible route. Behind it, you won't really see it. But on the right side, there's stairs. And then on the left side, there is a ramp that goes down behind it. There will be a railing so you don't mistakenly. We had a wall there at one point that we thought might be closed in. So there will be a ramp maybe with a guardrail, make sure somebody does it. And then that'll get you to the adjacent space. Yes, sir?
Yeah. So what's the orientation of this room? Is that facing?
You're facing east.
Facing east. Okay.
Yeah, so you'll never see the sun come in there for normal, in the morning, sure you can see it, because the building is due north-south, so, is it Douglas? Is that the road? Yeah, so you're facing west, the front door faces west, so it's more of an afternoon, evening thing.
Okay.
But, should be a lot of natural light getting in throughout the day, but you won't be getting in your eyes or anything.
Yeah.
When you say you're facing east, you're facing east if you're in the audience?
You walk in the
or-
front doors.
Okay.
That way is east.
We're
So
looking
The face
east.
of the building is facing west, so the
Okay.
road goes north to south, and then the building is kind of a long way along the road. So if you turn to face the building, you're looking east with the road going north to south.
So that view, you're looking east.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
So if you have a board meeting in the morning, you'll have some sun coming in. Otherwise, the sun will be going behind. So really, the whole south side of the building, basically Tracy side, you're going to have natural light all day. The police will have it on the north side, but it's a good at north light. Probably won't ever need to close the blinds because the sun's always going to be going around the back, so the side. Oh, okay, sustainable design. Now, I'm not going to read all these bullet points, but we have taken sustainable design far enough on here. A couple things. You all have heard of USGBC, LEED buildings and all that. The current energy codes, and we're now in the 2024 IECC, International Energy, something around the code, International Energy Efficiency, they're even more stringent now. New things always come into play. So just meeting code today gets you what used to be LEED silver. So, most buildings 10 years ago could get LEED certified. And then you wanted silver, and then you get a few more points and all that. And like I said, you're not going for LEED certification. It becomes costly. You have to get the building commissioned and all that, $1 to a square foot, and most people think just design it to that level. So I'm here telling you, we're designing to that level. There's about 5 main points, energy efficiency. It's a highly insulated building, nice cavity wall. This building really doesn't have a whole lot of, insulation or anything in it, so we're gonna have a 2027 style building here. Nice big cavity wall, insulation over the outside there, LED lighting, that used to be a thing. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw in a quick note there. This building does have some insulation falling out of the ceiling in my office.
Really?
There's a little bit.
I'm asking everybody,
Right.
don't spend any money here, just
Yeah.
bite your tongue for another year and a half, and then move to the no one. So maybe
Yeah.
just throw that insulation away, yeah, that's good. So we will not have any insulation falling on your head in the new building, and all the windows will be properly sealed against the wall, so you shouldn't have any more drag.
Good.
But we mentioned LED lighting, even 5 years ago, that was still sort of, you had to mention it. I don't think you can really not buy an LED light anymore. You go to Home Depot or something, contact fluorescents are $15, and now the LEDs are $2. So they switch each other out. So we've got a highly energy efficient building, sustainable materials, renewable, locally manufactured. We're gonna have stone on there. It's coming from somewhere in this general area, isn't it? Yeah, we're not importing stone from across the country or something like that. Again, the siding will either be like if you've ever heard of Hardy Plank, it's a James Hardy product, or we have LP Smart Side, which is more wood. Hardy Plank is a cementitious, meaning it's like concrete. LP is like OSB board, like board, and it's got, so we're gonna talk to you more about that, which one we want to spec. They're both have like 30-year finish warranty. So again, it's a manufactured product, so we're not cutting down trees and putting cedar siding on. It's going to look like it. Water conservation, pretty standard. Drought tolerant landscaping around here. We don't want, there is some irrigation required, but we're not looking for you to do that. And I believe, aren't we going to use a well? Did we talk about that last meeting?
We're looking into it.
Looking at it?
Yeah, we can't do that, that would be.
So why pay the city
Yeah.
if you can just irrigate out of your own ground? So that's something we talked about. Yeah, I guess you're looking into that. So again, low flow pictures. This is all pretty standard stuff in this area. Waste reduction, again, efficient design and prefabrication. So we're going to lay out our patterns. So we don't want you to buy 4x8 sheets of, say, Hardy board and use a 3x5 section and throw the other 3. We're working the window patterns and everything, so minimal waste. You're not seeing a lot of stuff thrown out. And then finally, indoor environmental quality. The daylighting I mentioned, air circulation, things that weren't happening, 50 years ago when this building was being designed. So yes, it'll be a very sustainable building. And I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, I think we're not required, we have to size the structure to accommodate solar panels. If somebody says 5 or 10 or whatever next week, you could do it. So I think we may have talked one more time, or one last time we were here, that if you wanted to run the building on solar, you probably need 10 acres. Solar doesn't get you that much. But the building will be structurally so that if you ever said, I'd like to do a portion of it, you could add it to the roof. So that's a new energy code thing as well. All right, sustainable design, what else is there? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew now.
Yeah, so timeline, like Tracy said, the goal is to break ground this summer. We're working through final stages of design, making sure that we're in budget for that. Our goal is to kind of split it into 2 different bid packages. So the first one would just be for kind of heavy site work in that, so we can start moving dirt on the site, and then that allows a little extra time to get design wrapped up, and then it will flow nicely into the building. So sometime this summer, we're targeting
Yeah, I
that.
don't know exactly where they're at. Our civil, we've turned them loose. We said, go ahead and finish up, because Andrew didn't want to move about a bunch of mucky fall dirt. So, yes.
Being an old farm field, it'd be easier to deal with that in the
Yeah.
summer than the winter.
Okay.
In roughly a 2-year time frame for us for construction, so sometime summer of 2028. A little bit of time to get all the furniture and everything moved in, and it should be good to go. So yeah, and that's all I got on that side of it. Is there other questions on timeline or design?
So, summer 2028 is right before a presidential election, and as a clerk, I just want to be really sure about a timeline so I can plan for that election year. do you feel
You
like?
want to be moved in, is what you're saying.
Well, I either want to get moved in or I want to stay. Like,
Okay.
I've kind of have to figure out a plan to make it feasible for me. So do you think that that's a pretty, are you confident with that timeline?
With the overall timeline, yes.
Yeah.
I would say once we know when we can for sure start,
Mhm.
then what we'll do is we'll communicate a date, and then that date will stay.
Okay.
So right now, we've got some different approvals and things to work through before we know exactly when we can start.
Mhm.
And at that point, then we'll be more confident saying, hey, we can plan on this month.
Great.
You know, and we'll usually build a little contingency in there, just when things come up, that way you don't have to adjust last minute.
Thank you.
Well, the good news is, this building isn't going anywhere, right? Remember
Right.
earlier schemes when we were trying to fit on this site? I don't know how you would have exactly handled it, so. I think
That's a
the
nice
timeline is-
scenario.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, you don't need to leave this until after you've moved into the other building.
Well, that's right. It's reassuring to me
Yeah.
because if we had lost our current space and we didn't, that could be
You
problematic.
won't be in a
So,
HODS unit or anything.
no, we're going to be all right.
You'll be in some finished building somewhere.
Yep.
Hopefully the new one.
Thank you.
Can you tell us, have you determined the HVAC specifications or how that's going to go?
We looked at multiple systems and worked with Andrew because we have a budget we have to hit. So we have a very good system. It's basically rooftop units. And we've broken up into smaller ones because the first go around, they were big. And we are doing our best to make sure you can't see them as much as possible, pushing them in a sense towards the center of the building or towards the east. So Monica, you're gonna do what, some more renderings, you're working, yeah. So we can drop a camera at ground level, because what happened was, there was some talk about other systems in the past. We might have kicked around geothermal. It just wasn't working with the budget and the size of the building and all that. So again, I don't know, it's basically called, rooftop units, heating, cooling on the roof. And again, our engineer did it with 3 units once, but each one was probably the size of your dais. I mean, they were big. And they were tall, 6, 8 feet, and then Monica had them rendered, and you could just see them. So we kind of went back to our engineer and said, I need less of them. So, it's still pretty efficient. I mean, maybe 3 bigger, slightly more, but, it's a little different zoning. And we're working on getting those. And if by chance there's some we're gonna see, we're gonna have to put a screen around it. There's a company called Cityscapes that makes a screen that literally attaches to the unit. So instead of building a fence on the roof, where you have to put like posts down through the roof and flash around it to structure, in a sense, you say, here's our unit, and they put some sort of like space frame around it. So if we're going to see it, we're gonna do that. The thing is, that you're at the ground, there's no other high spaces around you, there's no neighbors that are gonna be looking down onto your roof. So like I said, Monica's gonna go back, once we have it finalized for engineers, and we're really gonna put a camera around and see. And like I said, I think we're getting pretty good, but,
So I'm personally more concerned with the type of units and the types of systems, and if we can combine different things to create greater efficiency and,
what's this?
One of the-
Okay,
I'm about to say, one of the nice things about, with the being under the new energy code, one of the things that we don't even have an option for anymore is doing the energy recovery. So like Mark said, they are the rooftop units, but there's certain code required amount of fresh air that has to be brought into all of the spaces. Sometimes you used to be able to just dump whatever outside air into the building was there. Now what we're doing with this system is taking the air that we're exhausting out of the building and tempering the air that we're bringing in. So that's a lot more efficient way to do that.
okay.
And
Is there opportunity, I guess I'm most concerned with reducing the carbon footprint of this building as much as possible when it comes to HVAC.
Right.
How it looks is, obviously it needs to look nice, but, so I guess what I'm wondering too is if we come across an opportunity for a grant, say, or something like that, what's the timeline that you would need to know to be able to change things? Like, or combine the system, you know what I'm saying? Like if we could get money to do heat, or whatever kinds of efficiencies are option. I don't know what the options are, so I don't know what you guys
I
have
think
looked
that's,
at.
that's a good point, and I'm not a mechanical engineer, so I don't want to overstep my boundaries. I mean, basically, this is a tried and true system. It is not a groundbreaking, new state-of-the-art, because a lot of times our municipal clients like, we don't want the fanciest, most complicated thing out there. We want something that's been around for. So we are very efficient today. It is rooftop units with ductwork,
Right.
going heating and cooling around. So yeah, it's not individual heat pumps, it's not geothermal.
But I'd
We're
like
going
to
on-
know if we have options that we've looked at like those, or if we can at least,
We have looked at those
Okay.
options. Yeah, so we went through 3 or 4.
You priced out at
different ones.
least 3, right?
Yeah.
Our engineers, right, they
They
came
did
up
a
with
nice
multiple.
there, yeah.
And
Okay.
Andrew and his team priced them out, and this is the one we landed on.
right, I'm just wondering,
I don't think we can change it now, is what I'm trying, because we are, I mean, I suppose you could get a grant.
I mean, I would like to see those at least. I mean, we haven't had a chance to look at that, and that's pretty important to us, I think, is the HVAC systems and how these things
Well,
will
we can send.
consume energy in the future. That's pretty important to our constituents, I think, at this time. And so I feel like it'd be nice to know what would work in the building, because I'm not an engineer either, but if I can see like what types of systems would be, would it actually work for that large of a building, or, you know what I mean? You know that,
Right.
but I don't know that. But once I know, you know, what would work, I could look into how could we find money. Or in the future, you know, maybe we can combine. I would just like to know how malleable that is moving forward too.
Well, why don't we get, I'm sure we all have it, why don't I get Tracy the original narratives? Because we did have these type of sessions with our mechanical engineering team. And it was 3, not 4, I can't remember, so we were kicking out what are the different ways to do it. And then ABB had price points for all of them. So we can find that, and Tracy can distribute that.
Okay.
And then we can certainly have a call or follow up, we can.
Okay.
I mean, again, I'll never say never, but we are in the construction documents phase, so we're looking to be done here in, give or take, 3 months, maybe
Yeah.
late June. So it would be great to go back and start, but I think we've already explored everything. So why don't we show you what we did? If you read it, you say, boy, I wish you could have done this, and we can certainly talk. It's never too late.
Yeah, I
to
just
go
feel
after
like
the
that's
building.
pretty important to our community. And so I think it is something that we should do our due diligence on as a board. I mean, not saying that you guys haven't and stuff, but I feel like we need to also.
Okay.
And just say, I mean, we fully recognize that's important to you
Yeah.
as well. And so we have, as we've gone through, looked at those different options.
Okay.
Yeah, happy you can share that.
Because there just might be an opportunity,
Yeah.
you know, to get money from somewhere that could help with that. Or at least we could plan for the future if we want to reduce, you know, the system that, the traditional system, and move to something different in the future. Like, I'd like to know how that would work, or, you know, if that's okay.
We'll get some information, again, we can always do another, do a Teams, I mean, if you want to say, okay, I read your stuff, can we chat about it, and we can.
Okay, cool. That's
I'm
great.
not sure they have, our mechanical engineers try to explain this more than I can, so.
That would be really helpful, just, I mean, because we have a pretty set budget right now, and it sounds like you have explored all the options and what we can do with
Yes.
that budget, but like knowing what our options going forward are with a highly efficient conventional HVAC system would be good to know. You know, so maybe 10 years down the road, we have the opportunity to install, you know, solar at some level, so we have that capacity to generate energy on site. It'd be good to know going forward, how can we, you know, add that into our current capabilities of the building?
Right.
And
So we've
Yeah.
done solar, I mean, Monica and I worked on a job 4 or 5 years ago, I may have mentioned this one of the times I was here. It was, I mean, it works, but, you know, I'm just gonna come out and say it, it's more for show. I mean, it can't possibly power up what you want. It was an 8,300 square foot building, and it took 96 solar panels. So this is 100,000 square foot, so.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah.
there's combinations of systems, I think, too, that we could look at, and I'd like to know if, we start with a traditional system that maybe puts out a higher footprint, then maybe we can plan for the future, how will we move to that
Yeah.
better system? And if we don't think about it now, I just feel like that would be helpful for the future if we have the opportunity,
Yeah. I'll get a hold of our mechanical engineers and we'll find what they sent, and if it's, I don't remember how bulky it was. I could probably get them to write a synopsis as well. I mean, I can't remember.
It wasn't too bad.
It wasn't, was it readable?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And I think Joe sent us a sustainability marker, November, I think.
Okay.
So we can attach it to that.
Okay, yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll have to get back on that, but we will soon.
Thank you.
In terms of solar too, the land is not shaded, right? Like there's some
You gotta
trees,
get
but
the
it's,
open farm
it,
field.
right, so do the solar panels have to be on the building? Or can they be on
If
the
you want to,
land?
I'd rather put them in the yard. In this one job, well, go back, hang on, it's our sustainability slide.
I saw that you had some out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 8,300, and again, it was more, we're a forest preserve district, we want to show that we're doing it, that was a mantra, and we did. And that is a net zero building.
Yeah.
But a net zero building at 8,300 square foot is much easier to do when it's a maintenance building, there's like 4 people that work there, than a fully functioning.
Yeah.
Anything's doable with the price. But they originally wanted them on the roof, and they're like, if your roof goes bad or you got a leak, because you're screwing the solar panels right through it, now you gotta track that down. And they had the land, and they're like, yeah, that's great, let's look, because people are riding horses around, they're like, let them see it. So yes, you have the entire eastern portion of your site, that if you ever wanted to do it, that's where I would put it. But the roof, per code, will be capable. And again, if you had a pitched roof, like we had to do that at the fire station, I don't think that would look too great, but there's not a lot of land, I think it's only like 4 acres, 3, whatever, so there's not.
Yeah.
But here, you have plenty of roof, there's no doubt, but you also have plenty of land. What you do with the rest of the land, it's up to you guys, whatever your master plan, so, yeah.
Well, and then I just wonder, like, would the units be, like, work together with that in the future? It'd be nice to know, like, what our options will be if, they make batteries more efficient, they make solar panels different, what will we have to change if we want to move that direction? And how can we set ourselves up for as much success as possible now, so we don't have to,
Yeah, and have
Spend
options
more.
going forward, because we'll probably have to pay for this installments, as we keep building out our campus. How much parking is there actually?
You can add solar anytime, because it's just a matter of
Right, yeah.
connecting it to your switch gear or something, and I haven't done that personally, but I don't think it's like, I don't think our system is such that you couldn't add something like that. It's just a matter of, okay, well, guess what, instead of coming from the street, it's gonna come from this. So when I talk to the engineer, I'll have him send to me, Tracy, what we gave in the past, but I'm also gonna explain the reason behind your questions, that you wanna know what you might be able to do in
yeah.
the future. I'll preface it that way.
And I love
Yeah.
the well, I love that you're looking into that, that's great. I know that Geo was kind of off the table for that area, I think it wasn't feasible. It didn't seem like.
Did the cost push that one
It
away?
was the lift station. Remember, we had to have so many lifts all through it.
Yeah.
Is the
Which
water table pretty high right there on that land?
It's hard to say because it drops 14 feet.
Oh, yeah. And were those fields
Like, how
tiled
much?
in the past?
Okay, from like the what, corner to the back
Okay.
one? Okay, she's remembering, it's like a 35-foot drop. I tell you.
Really?
I
Wow.
gotta go to.
It doesn't look like that from the street, does it?
Yeah.
I looked at it like when it was corn on it, I go, wow, nice flat farm field. And then it's still like, it was like a 30-something foot drop. So the building drops 14, and then
Yeah.
it probably keeps on going.
Yeah.
So I guess the water table really wouldn't be high for the building, because we're sitting up here,
Right,
and the site's
yeah.
dropped, so it's probably down here.
I don't remember the exact depth, but we looked at that, making sure that we're in a
Yeah.
good spot for that.
Will there be quite a bit of parking with this
Yeah.
facility?
I don't remember the number.
Over 100 spots.
Yeah, like
Now,
well
I will
away.
also say in the back where we have that future preserve area. We just had a discussion a few weeks ago where we added 20 spots, like out behind, so that if people
Overflow.
wanted to,
Yeah.
go out and sit in the preserve area or walk through there, that we actually put 20 spots behind that. We also did that because we have our additional potential occupant of 911 dispatch backup in
Yeah.
our building, that we had to have extra space, so we thought we'd put the 20 out there, but we have over 100 spots in front, and then there's what, 60 in the back, 40 in the garage. I mean, I think there's ample.
I can't remember, 40 in the garage? Yeah, we have gone over the parking multiple times. So again, it's nice at the upper level at the front. Again, an employee can park there. I mean, right, you're not gonna limit that, right?
No.
It's traditionally in the back corner, it's the secure, and traditionally, that's where the police park their regular cars. But being this is a co-joint facility, if you work here and you want to park there, you certainly can. Or if you just want to come in and park right up front, right at the entrance, you can park up there as well. So, yeah, there's a nice parking lot up front, out back, 20 in the back, 40 give or take for the current vehicles in the garage. So, yes, there's plenty of parking.
Can I ask a question just of you, Superintendent, actually? Generally speaking, I mean, we all know former Police Chief Ergang, was intimately involved in this project with you and others from the very beginning. We recently had a changeover in police chiefs. Is new Chief Jackson also, like, do you feel he's confident with the police's needs being met on their side of the building?
Yes, and actually, now Chief Jackson, he's been involved from the beginning.
Oh, great, okay.
So, both Brian and Scott were
Yeah.
attending.
The three of them,
right
was
from the
Brian
start.
and Darian
Yeah.
and Scott.
Yeah.
Great.
We were at the police show in Grand Rapids early February. Scott kept coming by. I mean, he's got the building memorized. He, okay, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you have it better than I. He knows where everything is.
Great.
In the lower level, right? I come in, there's that room, he's got this thing. So he's been around for
Yeah.
4 years.
Understood.
Yeah.
So that changeover hasn't created any needs for like redesign or anything like that? Awesome.
Does anybody know how many parking spots we have at this building, just for comparison?
I could find out. We could count.
That's okay, I feel like it's gonna be,
No drawings. I don't know.
yeah.
It's gonna get dark soon. I don't know.
I mean, are you counting, because in the back by the hill, they had like, they had squad cars.
Well, they have the
that had
police
been-
little one up there.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's gonna be significantly more.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, and the thing is, I think it's set up where we call for shift change. During the normal policing day, there isn't 30 or 40 people, but people are showing up and people haven't left yet, so you can't be out circling around to show up to work. So
Right.
I think it's covered almost like as if every human being that worked here came in.
Yeah.
So
Plus public.
I don't think it's, plus public. I don't think you're ever gonna see it filled up.
Okay.
At least on a Tuesday at 2 in the afternoon, if you have a special event or something like that, sure. But,
And we often do, and they have to
Yeah.
park other places, so we thought about that. I mean, we definitely have double parking, especially with the fleet garage and the secure parking in the back. There's 100 spots up front. We have, I believe, 68 out here. So we have a lot
Yeah.
more parking.
We've been planning for snow removal as well. I mean, all these things that are like kind of the civil engineer, or that, I think honestly it was Scott or Darian, somebody brought it up, like, well, we're gonna push it, because in a secure lot, you have a fence. Even if it's a chain link, you don't wanna be pushing snow up into your chain link, so that's been configured in such a way. I think there's an additional gate that lets them push it out through there. So, it's not gonna do you good if you got 40 employees in a secure lot and that you can't get the snow out of there. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's been addressed as well.
And we even added the additional 20, even though the potential dispatch facility, they have 50 employees, but those are different shifts. They're also only in here once a month, but if something should happen and they need to be here for an extended amount of time, that we added additional spaces.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we'll ever be full unless.
And honestly, you have room, this isn't like a landlocked, a lot of times we do this, like, well, this is how much parking we can fit. You have the acreage, so, if sometime during construction, because I wish we had 20 more, we could say, could we, or in the future, but you've got a lot of unused land. So we don't want to open up a building with 200 parking spots, or, well, it's not a Walmart, why do we do that? But you will not be short, that much, I think we're very confident in.
Great.
Other questions?
Are you good with the boardroom, the windows and the wood and all that kind of stuff? Okay.
My only, and this is, I think this is as much a sort of public engagement comment for us as a board as it is an engineering comment. My only, not even constructive criticism, but just my only reaction that I had when I saw the boardroom was the size. I think it's beautiful and fitting for this township, and we need more people to fill those seats. What I don't want to create is a situation where we have, 100 or 200 seats in a boardroom that are never used.
It is set
yeah.
up for, thank you.
108, okay.
The goal was 100, just the way
Sure.
everything, and you can space them wider too, but we're
Right.
drawing chairs kind of like that, yeah.
Okay,
Again,
yeah.
you're right, I mean, I'll be honest, every municipality I go to,
Yeah,
there's 6, 8 people. But every now and then, there's like, yeah, then we had an issue, then we had people out in the hall, so,
Right.
yes.
And if you saw the boards, like the carpet squares, if you could go back to that picture, like,
Mhm.
we did those carpet squares, we actually, every seat is on the
okay.
square. We can do
Yeah.
every other square.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
so they don't have to be so
Yeah.
piled in, so.
One, go ahead, sorry.
And compared to this route, it's a thin, like skinnier, longer.
It's the same width, actually.
Okay.
It's 38 feet inside, right? And these are
Okay.
4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 28, 10. Maybe this is 32 with those apart, give or take, maybe it's a few feet wider.
Okay,
But I forgot how long it is.
It is only 39.
It's 2,400 square foot, so it's roughly, say it's 40, give or take 40 by 60. And I think that's measured probably to the front of the dais, I can't exactly remember.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how big this is, no, it's gonna be a lot bigger than this. But, when somebody says, well, how long will this last? I go, I don't know, 100 years or more. I mean,
True.
we're doing projects now. We're doing one in the Chicago suburb. I mean, the Village Hall is from 1894. So, I mean, the buildings could be,
Yeah.
who knows, countries to it, who knows? So, yes, you don't want to plan it for today or tomorrow, but you do kind of have to plan for the occasional. And again, how you want to use that, we're doing projects now, and they said, hey, we may let the Model Railroad group come in here, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, whatever, whoever they want to use it, and it's more like a community room. I'm not saying you guys decide how to use it, but we're trying to make these spaces big enough that you could.
More multi-purpose.
Yeah, thank you, that's a good one. Multi-purpose, and you may not move in with that, but you make a voice pretty nice, we got that boardroom, because we can do whatever you want to do. We can do a blood drive in there, I mean, it's just, limitless thing.
well, and I'm,
Killing me over here, Mark. Killing me.
I imagine though, to bring to things that we do currently as a township, when we use this room even for, police and fire ceremonies, for example, we would
Yeah.
still be able to utilize the boardroom for more than just board meetings.
And I use the boardroom as,
Yeah, for
for an
elections.
absent voter counting board.
Mhm.
Well, I was gonna say, do you vote in here? I mean,
No, I mean, but like for the absent voter counting board,
Okay.
which is basically the people that are vetted and hired from both political parties
Yeah.
to go through, the absentee ballots
Okay.
and get those tabulated, so.
well, what we're hearing, is we're doing we're doing a few projects similar, we're doing another police station somewhere, just started one, they're all in community space. Everybody is just really looking for that community space, and you're right, maybe more activity to come, whatever Tracy wants to put in. But yeah.
Is there storage for like tables like this and
Yeah.
storage for the chairs so they're not
If
just
you're
sitting
looking
out?
straight on the left, you see where that door is?
Uh-huh.
That's a huge training room off to the side.
Okay.
So we say even maybe for you to do your absent voter counting
Yeah.
there, you could do that. There'll be tables set up. Then on the other side, there is a place to just store tables, chairs. There's the AV section. There's also a conference room on the right, and that will be our closed session meeting
Okay.
rooms. So there are different conference rooms and training rooms off the boardroom.
Just for the benefit of us, but also for the folks in the room who are attending the meeting, that's something we don't currently have that we'll be able to offer is a separate closed session room, so that when this board goes into closed session, which is inevitable, for, legal advice, things like that, we don't have to ask everyone in the audience to leave the room. The board can leave the room.
You'll need to walk from about
yeah.
there to about there.
Exactly.
And, boom, you're right in there.
Right.
So that'll be-
And so it'll eliminate pushing folks to the hallways and public areas while we have closed session.
Can you, and you may have sent this already or said it, but could you talk a little bit about how many meeting room, or like the different kinds of rooms that are in the building? I'm just curious, like how many conference rooms,
So
like how
on the
many
admin
meetings?
side that all of us will be able to use on the administration side, there's that training room on the left.
Okay.
Then there's two main conference rooms, like if we're referencing the admin side on this side, there's two main conference rooms in there.
Okay.
We also have some office space that will be open. On the police side, they have several conference training, but again,
Yeah.
that's all blacked up because of lien and CJIS training,
Yeah.
that type of thing. But for us, we will have the main large training room and then two conference rooms on the administrative
When your
side.
training room, it worked out pretty nice because it got in the program kind of late. So it's on the police side, but we've got kind of a clever way where you're gonna walk in that front door and go toward the police side and go up, and then a little waiting area, a little kitchenette, hang your coat in into that, and it's still secure from the police. So you go around, or you could pop a door, and again, it's all gonna be card key access, so you could be in the room like behind where Tracy's there and come right out in here. Or if you're having it during the day training, you can say, oh, just turn left and turn right. So that's nice, and that's gonna have like the typical seminar tables, you know, kind of like these. 2 chairs per table, 3 rows or so. I can't remember how many people we fit in there, 30-ish, give or take, I think, yeah. So that's a nice space. So yeah, you know, since you have the 2 conferences plus the training, and then again, plus a boardroom.
Yeah.
You know, we've had most of our meetings, I think I've only been in the conference room through there once a week, usually meet in here, so you have some space.
This is our only meeting space really right now for the administrative
Yeah.
side, that's where it gets.
And we are, well, and for police really, for training, 'cause we're in the position, as you all know on the board, of saying no to folks who want to have events and meetings in this space because it's literally the only room we have. So that'll make a huge difference.
Every 2 weeks now, so.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Now, we're hoping, I mean, we're hoping people will use your boardroom
Yeah.
however you want them to. But again, you know, you call it a boardroom, call it a community, call it whatever you want. But I mean, it's a space that I think people that are in the community, oh, should meet over there sometime, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be a nice space, so it should be more than just for these type of meetings.
we will have like accessible bathrooms, correct? I would assume with it being a new building. that-
Everything is completely accessible. There is an elevator. During design, we went, you know, elevator is how much? Couple $100,000? Yeah. At one point, we had one on both sides. One point, we had it behind the boardroom. I will just cut it. It's in the police side because they're moving stuff up and down evidence. But if somebody needed to use the elevator, they could have scored, right? But with the 2-level parking lots, you can, if you work in the township, because really the township is up at the higher level. So that's why you would just enter that building. In a sense, it's a 1-story building. The only thing down there is a shared workout facility. And then the township has a private shower locker room. So the police they're gonna have to card key access into their locker room, right, with 40, 50 lockers. But there is a private shower locker training for the township, and it's off the lower level door. So you could drive your car around and go, I'm gonna go hit the gym, and you could just walk in there. You could take the stairs. But you can see, the building is really supposed to be thought of as 1 story, so there's no grand 2-story, you know, stair down, because to most township people, it's a 1-story building like you have today.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Could you tell us a little about the technology that will be in the building, like in terms of sound and internet
At our
and
last meeting.
outlets?
You guys come today, yeah, I didn't think they invited them. I don't think we did speakers, correct? Did we forget the speakers? I mean, we have cameras where needed throughout the building. We have, I'm trying to think, what else do we have? We have the drop-down screen here, we have all the TV monitors in here. I think we're gonna go back and wire every office for TVs, right? You would go buy them at wherever you would want to go buy a TV. Yeah, it's cheaper for you to do it than to build it into a bid. So I think, I know at one point all the police offices had it, and I think at our last meeting, we're gonna add, in a sense, there could be a bracket mounted to the wall and an outlet, and then if you say, hey, this person on the township side needs one, we'll do it. So everybody has AV.
The 2 conference rooms that are on the
Oh, yeah.
administration side, will both have TVs that we hooked up for video conferencing. So speaker and camera and all of that. Yeah.
Teams, and you know, we're showing on the drawings against what you've already shown 85-inch TVs. That's like About the biggest one you can get commercial, again, not big enough for that, that's why you have a screen, but yeah, the conference rooms will have them. So you should be able to pull in, plug in a laptop, do a presentation, do a Teams meeting, you know, pretty straightforward technology. So we have a company called Sentinel, and that was our last Friday meeting, I guess a week ago Friday. That was 2 hours of him, and then you have your own AV folks as well. So obviously, our guy and their, you know, your two guys, I guess, are kind of talking, working out. So it's card key access, I can't remember, we leave pretty much everywhere, right? I mean, we do it outside, yeah. So whether it's a fob or a key.
And like full building Wi-Fi, so,
And what are you going, not the routers or?
But
what are the things that-
you're gonna talk
Wireless
about
access,
speakers
right.
again, is that what he was, like sound is important, I think?
Yeah, sound system. and that's
Okay,
not
okay,
one.
okay.
We will have a set
Okay.
of speakers and sound
Yeah.
system.
And I'll just, the only reason I like think about this is because I have been in several brand new buildings, and you'll find that like there's not an outlet placed where people are meeting, where they can, you know, adequately pull out around the table and plug in, you know, and it's just like, it's just one of those things that sort of like went to the wayside, and then, but then practically when you're in there, you're like, okay, well now I gotta set my computer way over here, and
I believe like where we have the seminar tables, because we were gonna actually draw that up and give it to our users. We're gonna put in-floor outlets, so
okay,
these are probably 6.
And then,
Yeah.
those places so that we don't miss.
okay. And like, I guess
So
what
you
I'm
have
thinking
one
of
for like
is,
every 2 tables here, and
Yeah.
then a grommet, you know, a hole cut in the top. So if you came here, you're not stringing your cord to there, it's going down. So yeah, in those rooms you're gonna see probably like every 12 feet outlets in the floor, and then of course, I mean, plenty of convenience outlets.
Okay.
So.
and then I
yeah.
assume then we'll have a system to be able to project from where you are, from your computer, because that's also been,
What we talked about, that'll be both, there'll be a wired option and a
Okay.
wireless option. So default will just be wireless, and if that's not working for some reason, there'll be a wired option. So
okay, yeah.
Same at the podium.
I've just seen where the wired options are sometimes placed in such an odd spot in the room that the person then is awkwardly standing away from the people that they're meeting with, and it's
Should be
like,
right at the podium, so
Yeah.
right where
Yeah.
you would be presenting.
Bring your podium
like, more like meeting rooms, conference rooms, offices, things like that, like where the placement sometimes, and I get it, you can't plan for everything, but.
So speaking of the podiums, where would the public comment portion?
Left front corner and right front corner, so I mean, you know, one would be like here,
Okay,
and then like a mirror image of it over, maybe about where Tracy's sitting. You have
Okay.
2 of them, right?
Well, we have an
Oh.
ADA, and
Oh.
so we sent them, size and color, we sent them this,
Yeah.
and they took pictures, but we envisioned it right at the end of that
Yeah.
aisle.
Would you want it off to the angle, or do you want it dead center? Where, I guess, I
When we
got my
talked
answer,
on
where
Friday,
you
we
want it?
talked about dead center.
Yeah.
That would simplify.
Because
Just
then
have
no
one.
one's turning,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then the projector can be up here, then we have the
Yeah.
TVs. We
Okay.
talked about them coming right down the center, and the 2 podiums will be
Well,
right.
and they're movable, right? So if you're not
Yes.
having, yeah, then you can move them out of the way, yeah. But you're right, if it's that height, you're not really, I mean,
Right.
yeah. I just don't want you to be blocking the board if somebody's talking, but yes, we can get them centered.
What does the situation look like with Public Media Network? So I know they have equipment here to make sure that they can cover our meetings on that screen, for example.
We actually set it up so they could plug in, or we could
Great.
do our own streaming if we chose to do that in the future.
Okay, great.
One of those 2 right-hand doors and another one is to like a room, like an 8 by 10 or a 10 by
Okay.
12. A
With a
room.
window.
Sure.
With a window looking into the board and little counter, so.
Okay, great.
Yes.
What do you guys think? We're getting there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's cool. It looks really nice.
Yeah, thank you all
It's
for
really
all the
great.
work that's been done on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for
Very exciting.
gracing every, let us do it. So I think it's gonna be really sharp. I mean, when, you know, Monica whips up the rendering, you're like, wow, this is looking pretty good. So I think people are going to appreciate it. I mean, I think it fits, you know, we're not trying to be historical. You're going, hey, it's a modern, but you know, it's still warm with some stone and some wood look stuff, so it's not just
Mhm.
cold and industrial, but, yeah.
Yeah.
And I say, I mean, it's a good quality, it's not the fanciest thing in the world, because nobody wants to do that, nobody wants to be able to walk and go, whoa, look at this, so, you know, you put the money in the boardroom to make it a public space, and then the public lobby is going down, and then in the back, there's some nice area for the conference, but the rest of it's normal office space, nothing that you wouldn't see other than drywall, carpet, and some rubber base, just trying to, put the money at certain points, but not, go
Yeah.
over the top.
Wonderful.
And the sizes of the offices are more normal, because I feel like here they're so large.
What are the average offices, like
Two-
2-something, 250?
Yeah, 256, and I forget, that's 12 by 15, yeah.
Okay.
250-ish, 256. I mean, they'll change a little bit, and then actually at those two areas that we bumped out, like that go up, we also bumped out the wall, so, I guess if you get that office, it's like being in the hotel where the middle section bumps out, you pick up a couple feet, but yeah, in the 250. So, they are not gonna be tight, I mean, you'll see offices at 120, and that's 10 by 12, and you can get in there. But, the door's gonna be hitting the guest chair and stuff, so there's enough room to put a couple file cabinets in, and, they're not over the top, so, like I said, it's a good size.
I think the ones here were initially designed so that the walls could move around, and that's why they look so
big.
huge.
Okay.
But the walls are not very movable either, so I don't know what they
Brian's
were.
office, he always reminds me, he never had a light switch, he had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we all do.
So we will have plenty of light switches, there will be no using the
And you
circuit breaker.
cannot move the walls here, or
Yeah.
they will collapse.
Yeah.
Oh, but I was gonna, for lighting, will it be like dimmable or how?
They'll be dimmable, and they
Okay.
also will be on sensors, that's an energy code thing, so,
Okay.
I mean, you can always override it, but during the day, and I can't remember what the time is, but you will not see lights on in the middle of the day, everything is fully automatic, that's all current energy code, but you do have the option, that if you want to sit here and work at night, you can turn on your lights and dim them, or brighten them all up, but they will go out, after a while.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking for presentations too, it's just nice to be able to like turn them down. Yeah.
Great.
Well, thank you all again for being here and for all of your work on this.
Yeah,
Great.
that's been
Looking
good.
forward to see it getting started.
Yeah, so I guess we're.
Can't wait.
Yeah. I say, we started working together August 22, so,
Yep.
we always tell people, like, there's a bit of a process, so you have to do it right, but I think we've revitalized or redone the program and made sure it's spot on, so you don't want to move in with not enough space, you also don't want to move in like, why do we have half the building empty? So
Right.
I think we've done that well, so you want to be, as they say, like good stewards of the money, you don't want to
Exactly.
overbill. But again, 100, 150, you never know.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank
All
you.
right.
I guess we'll let you continue on. It was good seeing you all again.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, we'll see you again. I'm sure we'll see, well, whatever you want us to present again. And I'll get that info to Tracy in the next day or two. And then again, if we need a little sidebar, but I would have my engineers get on that call because they would be much more eloquently speaking about that.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all again. Appreciate
All right,
it.
thanks.
And will the poster board be able to stay so we can
That
put it in
is
the lobby
yours.
next to the fire station?
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Wow,
keep it.
good to keep it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you all. Appreciate it
Okay,
again.
thanks.
All right. Well, let's move forward, folks. We do have a few new business items this evening, so we can move through those as expeditiously as possible. First up, item A, the motion, consideration of the motion to adopt ordinance number 644. Council, did you have anything additional to say about that?
Good news, this is your conditional rezoning ordinance 25, and what was requested by Baltimore Excavating, and they are actually operating on quite a lot of these parcels already, but they were operating as non-compliant uses, and it was their kind of try to get, in line with the zoning ordinance. They own or have leases on all of these parcels that are being rezoned. And it's a condition, condition is if they go to sell outside, basically the family, not to sell them. But if they sell outside, then it'll return to the original zone. I can tell you that Friday afternoon at about 4:45, I got the signed conditional rezone agreements above. So part of the motion that I suggested to you is to authorize the township supervisor to sign those so that we can get them.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
I'll make a motion.
Please.
I move to adopt ordinance number 644, conditionally rezoning several property contiguous to its gravel mining operation from the existing R2 single and two-family residential and C1 local commercial zoning districts to the I2 general industrial district. Authorize the township supervisor to sign each of the conditional rezoning agreements for recording with the county register of deeds.
Support. There's a motion and support. Any discussion on the matter? Seeing none, we can proceed. Oh, sorry, Superintendent, did you have something? All right, yep, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, beginning with Trustee Leonard.
Aye.
Clerk Mackey?
Aye.
Trustee Glass?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Trustee Sherwood?
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll proceed to item B of our new business items this evening, and this is something I'm bringing forward per our discussion at the last work session, so I will go ahead and make, I'll make the motion to approve the recommendation for board committee assignments for vacancies as follows. First is for the Brownfield Authority, Trustee Ashley Glass as alternate. For CATS, the Kalamazoo Area Transportation Study, Trustee Colleen Leonard as primary. And finally, for Fence Viewer, Trustee Craig Sherwood.
Support?
So motion and support. Is there any discussion on that motion or the topic at hand?
Thank you for picking.
Thank you, and thank you all to the three of you trustees for stepping forward at our last work session for those.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it as well.
Hearing no other discussion, we can proceed to a voice vote on this. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And the motion carries. Congratulations and thank you, trustees. Finally, we have item C added to our new business at the beginning of this meeting and carried over from our work session this evening, discussion of the treasurer, vacancy and next steps. Just a few notes of clarity to tee up this conversation. The first is in moving to add this to our business, new business section this evening, I did not intend to suggest or propose that we take action to appoint this evening, but if any significant decision amongst this board was ever worthy of being considered for one meeting and voted on at the next, there's time for reflection, it would be an appointment with this much significance. Also, just a few sort of facts of the matter as we consider the vacancy and next steps. Of course, it is before this board to consider appointment to the treasurer's position. As we all know, the treasurer's office and deputy treasurer's position are both vacant. Also, this board, should it make an appointment at any point during our 45-day window from the date of vacancy, would be or will be appointing a treasurer for the period from the appointment until the November election of this year. There will be a special election in 2026 alongside all of the other regularly scheduled elections to elect a treasurer. So just bear that in mind as we discuss this. And then finally, I did also just want to turn our attention toward the vacancy itself. As I mentioned during our work session, looking backward, the previous tax settlement for the previous cycle is complete. Thank you to the superintendent and staff for doing the legwork to make that happen. And so we are, in many ways, sort of starting from not a blank slate, but square one, looking forward to the next tax cycle. And I'll just say on that note that when I was at the county treasurer's office to sign that settlement this past week, they expressed not just interest, but a strong feeling of urgency to see this board take action, because the county is also wondering who they should be working with for the next tax cycle. All of that said, discussion is open. Again, I'm not proposing a motion here, but just discussion on how this board might proceed. Anyone else have thoughts? I've been talking a lot.
Has anyone stepped forward and shown interest in this position?
I have heard, I don't know if other members of the board have heard interest. I have heard from, and I'm sharing this with permission in her absence, Trustee Robinson is interested in moving into the position as an appointed role. And she has expressed to me, at least, an understanding that would require us to do a bit more in-depth reevaluating, both because she's a current trustee, but also because of her unique situation as working both as a member of the staff and as a trustee. So we would need to consider all of those moving parts.
Sure.
The other piece I'll just mention, it was brought to my attention, we have not appointed an officer, being a clerk, treasurer, supervisor in this board's term. Looking at historical precedent, though, most recently when our current, now elected, but previously appointed township clerk was appointed into the role, the practice historically here has been to consider for the officer positions if there is interest among the Board of Trustees before casting a wider net, specifically because the officer positions, especially the treasurer's position, but all the officer positions, require not just a willingness and an interest in serving, but also ability to do the job and competency to do the job.
That's what I'm thinking about mostly, is like someone who has experience and is competent, dependable, reliable. Like, those are really important qualities, especially for a treasurer, and I hope that whoever does fill this role going forward, I know we will choose someone who has those qualities. So,
Yeah, I'm wondering, can you remind us what, so the option, if we appoint, like, say we appoint the treasurer, then the term would go until 2026.
Correct.
November, right?
Correct.
If we don't do an appointment, then our options are to
I believe I would look at,
participate in the
45
May.
days.
yeah, I would look at our clerk and our counsel for this, but I believe if we don't appoint in the 45 days, then we would essentially force the clerk to call a special election. Is that right?
Because it is too late to do a May. Is there a May? Was
Yeah,
a May?
there is a May election. And
But it's too
ballots will be
late.
going out, like, they're already
So
printed
it's
and
too
ready
late.
to
So
go.
this would be an additional election after the May election, but
Which
before
is-
the August primary,
Which costs extra money.
and creates significant work for staff. and
Right,
clerk.
right. And if the current, if Trustee Robinson, I mean, we know that she has done treasury, she's been deputy treasurer for Comstock for many years, I think. She has financial background. So it's a possibility that we could look at appointing her to treasurer, but then we would still need to fill
So,
the trustee
and
space,
this
which
is an interesting
would
piece.
guarantee, though, that we have someone competent in the treasury role, which I like. But the other piece to that is, I would definitely want to see her not, I don't know if I would
Yeah.
like her to be working as a staff member and treasurer. I
Yeah.
don't feel very comfortable with that part.
I mean, could she?
Personally?
Like, would that even be an option, actually?
I don't know if that would be.
It
The-
would, okay.
The same.
The board could. I think it would, yeah,
Yeah.
superintendent, we'd need to consult with you, though, as well.
Well, I would say as we have worked through the situation now where a
Yeah.
trustee does, right, that was kind of our test pilot of it, right?
Mhm.
Trustee Robinson and I have had these conversations as well. I think, should she be appointed, right, we would carry some of those duties partial. Should she be elected, though, I think that's when we clearly make a break point. And with that practice that we have right now as the superintendent, I probably would not recommend that going forward. This is sort of an overlap, we work fine together, it's great, but it does, and there is overlap, and it also causes, what piece are we working on here and who's doing the situation. I think it's working great. I do think should there be an election though, that's when I would come forward and say, let's separate the two again as in the fashion that it is.
And
But I think partially this summer, as we work through that, there's gonna be a lot of training. She would still have to assist me in many other areas, not all of them. And so maybe that reduces in some sense if we figure all that out, should that happen.
I do want to put a fine point on that election piece as well. Just a reminder, I mean, we all know this, but we also, as a board, did appoint Trustee Robinson to the seat. While she was elected to the seat that she holds,
That's right.
she had resigned
That's right.
because of the staff piece, and we appointed her to that role. The reason I'm reminding us of that is, regardless of what we do, appoint, not appoint, appoint Trustee Robinson or appoint someone else, the treasurer's role and one trustee role will be on the ballot in 2026. just given the nature of where things are right now. And so I actually take comfort in that because it's an opportunity, I think, to sort of clean up these lines, again, regardless of what we do, but also no matter what we decide now, I think we're all agreed in the interest of stability for the township. The voters will have a chance to decide on both those roles this November as well.
Yeah.
One thought I have, first of all, I'm very pleased that, that these two roles of the treasurer and the trustee, that they will go before the people of our township for a vote this fall. I think that's great because our residents should have a say. I feel very comfortable working with Trustee Robinson, who I've served on this board with since 2020. I can say that during some very difficult times, some crises that we've faced, she has been very level-headed and rational and very kind to people on this board and to the community and to staff. And I work with her here now that she is a current staff member. I see how she interacts with the employees here, and I feel that from that perspective, I'm very comfortable with it personally. So I just wanted to share that. I wish she was here. I know she's unfortunately not able to be present with us tonight, but I do feel like she's got the qualifications for the role.
Well, and again, I won't, I don't intend to make a motion tonight, even
No.
if we agree. I think it's important that all of the city board members are able to be present for that decision. I agree, Clerk Mackey, and I would also add, and this is truly, while I have the utmost respect for Trustee Robinson, in the instances I've been able to work with her and see the work that she's done on behalf of the people of this township, I also want to make sure that we are being good stewards of taxpayer money, as is all of our responsibility. And I'm thinking about the shift in, if we were to make a move like this to appoint Trustee Robinson to finish the term through November of this year, the shift in her compensation structure, because right now, a portion of her compensation comes as a trustee, but the larger portion actually comes as a member of the staff. I hear you, Superintendent, that while we may not want to flip a switch and turn that capacity off for you immediately if we were to appoint Trustee Robinson, if she were to run for the office to be elected in November, then we would want to move toward that. I also, I think, would ask us, if we did as a board move to appoint Trustee Robinson, I would ask us to consider adjusting or sort of drawing back the amount that she's paid as a staff member, because her salary as a treasurer would go up. So that essentially she does not, and again, it's not a reflection on her merits at all, but to be a good steward of taxpayer money, to make sure that it doesn't become a situation where we're sort of spending more taxpayer dollars on the position, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure what I trust you, Superintendent, to do the math on that, but so that when we draw back that amount on the staff side and the treasurer side goes up, there's not sort of a pocket increase that we're mistakenly putting through. Yeah.
When you assign the duties, you assign it as a part-time
Okay.
position with a certain number of hours, so that we would know,
Okay.
kind of what the superintendent needs.
And an end date of the election,
Yeah.
essentially. Okay.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
An end date
Yes.
to when she would transition out would
Correct.
be good, just for everyone. And,
Yep.
and then it's very clear. And, yeah.
And what about from like a capacity standpoint? Like if she were to take on these additional
Well, yeah, that's my other.
responsibilities, would that short you and your staff the extra help that they need?
I think we have all been doing so many variations of our roles over the past almost year,
Yeah.
that I think we will be okay. And we can look at what a permanent solution is. So I think the focus would be treasurer, and
Yeah.
she would have minimal support duties to assist in some areas. And to the supervisor's point, like we would pull back the hourly rate to reflect the actual roles and duties that she would be doing on the support side.
Well, and again, as a reminder, when we, and I don't want to sort of drag our conversation to looking backwards, but when we as a board passed for the previous treasurer things like the censure resolutions where we reassigned some of the non-statutory duties to the superintendent and staff, we discussed and we put in the language very specifically that that was relevant to the now former treasurer. And so I do think it would be an expectation that whoever, Trustee Robinson or whoever the appointed treasurer is, returns to doing the full Kalamazoo Township designated duties of the treasurer, not just the bare minimum of statutory duties.
Yeah.
So she certainly would not be sitting on her hands if we were to appoint her treasurer, or anyone.
Well, I think that's to be expected because that
Yeah.
should come with the salary that a treasurer receives.
Yeah. Exactly.
A lot of responsibility.
Exactly. And that would, I hope, I mean, I know, I won't ask you the question, Superintendent, I know it needs to be seen, but I would hope and expect that that also would mean that you are able, and the staff who support you on the financial side are able to do a little bit less when it comes to things that should sit in the treasurer's wheelhouse, which would then free up some of your capacity, to hopefully at least help offset that loss of capacity of Clara.
And I do think that some of that training over the next few months,
Yeah.
right, whoever is appointed, that there will be the opportunity for that person to assume the full treasurer duties.
Sure.
And really even some things like reconciliations and investment reports that I did 4 years ago as a consultant, and we're still having those done. I believe with the proper training that
Yeah.
the treasurer will be able to take those roles over.
And you might even get to enjoy a weekend day.
Absolutely.
Any other discussion? I do have a proposed course of action, but I want to wait. Trustee Leonard, did you have something?
Oh, no,
okay,
I'm
sorry.
supportive of
Oh,
this
you're good.
conversation.
Well, what I would propose, it sounds like with details still to be discussed, and again, not proposing an action of appointment today, I would suggest, and there's an ask of you and the superintendent, if this is a direction that at least those of us present feel we'd be interested in going. I have heard from Trustee Robinson, while she's not here today, that she is interested in the role and understands that the other pieces would need to shift as well, including her staff duties, compensation, et cetera, that we consider a dual action then of consideration of appointment at our next meeting of Trustee Robinson to the role to fill through the election in November, and a second corresponding action to pull back, and this is the ask of you, Superintendent, of what that pullback would be, to pull back her hours and duties and compensation on the staff side to match. Does that seem appropriate?
Yeah. Along with that, though, at the same time, we still have to fill the other
Trustee role.
trustee spot.
There would not be a vacancy until we appoint Trustee Robinson to become
So
treasurer.
that starts the
You would
window.
have to resign as trustee.
Exactly.
That's
Right.
then your counting day for vacancy.
Okay.
At that point,
You still have to
right.
appoint somebody to fill the remainder of the term.
Mhm.
And then, then anybody could run, in the meantime, that person may want to run, but may not. So it's we may have a trustee vacancy, which may then
Right.
be a little more popular, from people who want to.
Well, I'd like to suggest that we do, if we find ourselves in a position of appointing Trustee Robinson to be treasurer and we have a trustee vacancy, this is all hypothetical pending that, but if we find ourselves in that situation, I would encourage us to solicit interest from folks that we know for the trustee position. I mean,
I would like that.
I think, especially in this situation where it's a time limited in terms of the appointment role. It's also a trustee role, and so it is, with all true respect to all of you trustees on the board, it is a good sort of first step into the waters of local government. It's a good opportunity for someone to step in and perhaps see if it's a role that they feel like they would like to continue to fill, and if so, they could run to keep that in November, and if not, at least we've maintained stability, and other potential candidates could run in November.
When would they have to decide when they plan to run? What's the
There is
deadline?
What's the deadline?
Is it April?
I think it's
Deadline.
April.
April.
end of the month.
So it is
Yeah.
soon.
I feel like it's the
It's-
21st maybe, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the
I believe it is the
calendar.
21st. Yeah.
So they'd have, is it that early or is it?
Yeah, it's
I don't-
around then.
It's late
They
April.
would have to file
How many
that by
meetings
then.
does that give them to, is that 2 meetings?
Of board meetings, it would
Yeah.
probably be one for the trustee. So there would need to be significant conversations
Yeah.
between, I would encourage trustees, if you know folks and have, individual conversations, that would be up to you, and them, of course, to have, but there would need to be some educating and sharing of information outside
Yeah.
board meetings, for sure.
Well. just not
And the,
present.
and the alternative would be also, to consider folks, we have, and I'm not prepared to suggest names or anything like that today. This is all a meeting out at least, but we do have, a zoning board, a planning commission, a board of review. There are other entities where folks are involved on largely a volunteer or sort of minusculely compensated basis, but they are involved. I truly do not know, I haven't had these conversations, but there may be members of those boards and commissions who would be interested in sort of stepping up to the next level of service. Those would be conversations we would need to have in relatively short order, should a trustee vacancy present itself based on the treasurer appointment. All of that to say, we would need to move relatively quickly. And at the same time, to your point a minute ago, Trustee Sherwood, it is vital, I think we all agree, to have a board of 7 people who are competent to fill the roles we are all in, and also committed to doing that to the best of their ability. But as a next step, before the trustee, we would need to appoint a treasurer.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we covered some good ground here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And folks in the audience, that goes out to you as well, if you know of anyone in the township. Start talking to those neighbors. All right.
However we proceed, I just want to make sure that we are very, obviously, we all want to be transparent and clear. I just want the public to really have a good understanding of the situation so they don't feel
Yeah.
there is any, because of how unique the situation and circumstances are, I just want to make sure we are engaging them and enough so that they understand what's happening, so that they have the opportunity to email us and speak,
Yeah.
and they understand the timeline.
Yes.
The timeline's important because
Yeah.
it's a pretty short timeline.
Yeah.
And the other thing to worry about is if you get people from, for example, the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals, you already have a board member appointed to that.
So we would have a vacancy there then to
Well,
fill.
but you can't have 2 people, for
Right.
example, from the Planning Commission
Right.
that are also on the board. So you may be asking someone to give up a position that they don't necessarily want to give up.
Right.
So, that's another consideration when you start talking about appointments
Mhm.
and, what may motivate somebody to request to be trustee or not.
Right.
I guess I would say putting out a call of some sort, or, soliciting letters of interest at the same time or near the same time we
Yep.
make some kind of appointment to the treasurer role would be ideal, so that the public can at least show if they are interested in that.
I agree with the key piece being after we appoint the treasurer's role, only because
Right.
I want to make sure not to get ahead of, I know we are the board, but also not to get ahead of a decision of the board.
Yeah.
And
Because as
there-
of now,
Right.
sorry to interrupt, but
No,
like,
please.
and I feel like we've discussed how we'd like to see Clara, but until we have a vote,
Right.
that seat's not vacant.
Exactly, right. And I think we all agree we will need to move expeditiously, and, right, I think we're bound by the vacancy at hand first.
Well, and it is vacant, if you remember, because Trustee
Yeah.
Robinson eventually didn't take the oath, right?
Right,
Because she had the job with office.
Right.
So then we filled it with
Kennedy.
Trustee Kennedy, who went to the road commission, so
Right.
he became vacant again.
Right,
And then we put Trustee Robinson in there, but
Right.
you technically have a vacancy to fill for trustee, no matter what. It's
Right.
just a matter of who applies for it.
right,
Right?
yeah. And either way, like I said earlier, either way, both of those positions are on the ballot in November, which is the important thing.
Yeah.
Superintendent?
We could also have special meetings in the meantime. to-
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
because I was just thinking, don't we have like 3 weeks till our next
Yeah.
April meeting?
That's true as well. We could always call a special meeting to make the treasurer's appointment when she's able to attend as well. Make that appointment, make the adjustment, and then we could move forward more quickly with the trustee piece.
Did you cancel your second meeting in April for the MTA or no?
Oh, yeah.
We haven't yet, we'll need to address that though. Or perhaps move it.
Yeah, maybe just.
It may not be that week, frankly, I don't.
It usually is, it was last year, that's a good point.
The second, yeah, it seems to me like we ought to.
It's not the same week.
It's the later
It's
20s,
the
okay.
week, yeah, so
Good.
it doesn't,
We have two, which is
Okay.
good. yeah.
But we do have 3 weeks between, I
between
believe.
this meeting and our next.
And,
Right.
I think maybe, Clerk Mackey and I should get that firm date because there is going to be a trustee opening
I-
that people may want to apply for.
I did put it in my phone. It's 4 PM on the 21st of April is the affidavit
Well, the
deadline.
question then for this board, and I recognize, I mean, I own this. I've called several special meetings the past month because of what we've been dealing with, and I appreciate all of you doing your best to attend. Are you open to an additional special meeting at some point in the next 3 weeks? Or ideally the next 2 weeks, since we have a meeting in 3 weeks, to make the treasurer's appointment specifically so that we can move on all of the consequences of that?
Yeah, of
course.
Yeah.
Superintendent, would you mind, as you're able after this meeting, gauging availability for that? Thank you. And of course, we'll want to make sure that Trustee Robinson is there as well. I do think, while we legally can act with a quorum of 4 of us, it does feel important that we're all able to attend this particular meeting. Sorry, I thought I heard something. Okay. Any other discussion on the matter? Hearing nothing, please, board watch for communication from the superintendent about your availability for a special meeting to consider appointment of a treasurer. With that, we'll move forward. That concludes our new business this evening. No items were removed from the consent agenda, so we will proceed to board reports. Trustee Sherwood, what do you have?
Not much for tonight. Thanks everyone for sticking with us through tonight. Spring is here, on and off, so get out there and enjoy the outdoors.
Thank you very much. Trustee Leonard?
Yeah, nothing for me. Thanks for listening.
Clerk Mackey?
I don't think I have anything, thank you.
That's good. Trustee Glass?
Nothing tonight.
I also have very little tonight. I'll just say, on the heels of the presentation that we just saw and heard from the architects and build team on the community campus, I have the privilege of living very close to the Eastwood Fire Station project on Gull Road, and it is very exciting to see the hose tower going up. Drive by if you haven't had a chance. It's exciting to see these projects that are going to serve our community so well come to fruition. Superintendent, your report this evening. All right. Then we'll proceed to the second public comment period this evening. Please step forward. I think everyone here knows the drill. You have 3 minutes.
Dave Plowski, Chair of the Road Commission. I'll keep my comments brief. Just a couple things. Yes, it is the official start of spring. Winter is over. Our staff are actually going to 4-day work week starting March 21st, but our office will still be open 5 days a week, 7:30 to 4 p.m. So if anything comes up, let us know. We are hiring, so if you know anybody looking to work for the Road Commission, I always say if you like working alone in the wintertime and outdoors in the summertime, we have a job for you. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Additional public comments, please.
Ron Huster, 1314 Coolidge. I hope that you do the due diligence, and I'm sure you will, but whenever something like this happens with an elected official, treasurer especially, I haven't really experienced it before, but since I am the contact on the web for Westwood Neighborhood Association. I get a lot of comments from people, and they're really concerned, and they just, many of them can't believe that no money is missing, first of all. And that's their biggest threat with the treasurer, is it's not, we're gonna find money, they dug it out of the ground someplace, that some of it's disappearing. So it's gonna come under scrutiny of what people are thinking and saying, and they may not even vote when the election comes up for this, but they have an opinion, and opinions are, everybody's got one. But, and I'm not trying to minimize that, because it's important. We haven't burned too many bridges so far. Let's not burn any more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other public comments?
Paul Banner, 518 Edison. I just want to express some confusion that's popped into my head watching the presentations and so forth. I understood that when we were moving the campus from the road, Mazel, to this property, that included the fire station. And I'm not requesting clarification on that tonight, but I may be the only resident of the township that has that impression, just expressing it.
Thank you very much. Other public comments in the room? Seeing none. Superintendent, is there any public comment on Zoom? Please feel free to proceed. Thank you very much. Is there any other public comment on Zoom? Thank you very much. There is no closed session this evening, and so we've reached the end of our agenda at 8:44. We're adjourned. Thank you. Tracy.